How's it going, everybody? Welcome into New York Jets today. I am your host, RC Maxfield, and some devastating news coming out of Jets training camp as Carl Lawson is now out for the season due to tearing his Achilles in a joint practice ahead of preseason week 2 against the Packers, a guy that was a priority for the Jets front office this offseason to go and get and add to that defensive line, and now he will miss the 2021 campaign due to tearing his Achilles in a joint practice against the Packers. Again, he was the talk of Jets training camp. There's no doubt about it. This guy will be a huge loss for the Jets defense going into this season. When you think about it, you had Quentin Williams, who is showing flashes and is proving himself to be one of those guys that has the potential to be a true impact guy on the defensive line. He just needed to have somebody paired with him. That was Carl Lawson. And Carl Lawson was having a great camp, and the coaches weren't the only ones saying it. His teammates were saying it as well, as Mekhi Becton had this to say about Carl Lawson after the game against the Giants in preseason week 1. After the first drive, I went up to him and said, "I appreciate you, bro. You made me a whole lot better. They have nothing on you. We all felt that difference of our D-line and going against another defensive line." And again, Becton and Lawson have been matched up against each other every day in camp so far. There is absolutely no replacing a Carl Lawson on this defensive line at this point in time, just due to the fact that there's not very many talents like Carl Lawson left in the NFL in general, right? This was a guy that had, no ego, was a guy that would go in there, help everybody else, help the offensive line get better. And that was the biggest thing too. Sure, he made the defensive line better, but he helped young guys on that offensive line, mainly Mekhi Becton, who has high hopes of taking that sophomore leap in his second year out of Louisville at the left tackle position, protecting a second overall draft pick, Zach Wilson, this year. There is absolutely no replacing a Carl Lawson type. But when you look at what's going on the Jets D-line right now, I mentioned Williams. You have Rankins as well. But on the outside at the defensive end positions, there's a lot to be wanted out there, right? You have Carl Lawson out for the year, as we mentioned down there. You have Curry. You have Phillips. Maybe one of them have a better season this year than they had last year in terms of sustainability. But right now, it is just a hard pill to swallow if you are a New York Jets fan, in the sheer fact that you're losing a guy that could have came in here and alongside Rankins and Williams, maybe gotten to double-digit sacks. I wouldn't have predicted that, but he did have that chance just for the sheer fact that defensive line did have talent on it. The problem now is, where are those sacks and pressure to the quarterback going to come from outside of Rankins and Williams? I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it comes from the linebackers, but right now it is a bleak outlook, mainly at the DN positions. Again, the stats last year for Carl Lawson, they're not eye-popping, right? He had 5.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, but he was getting double-teamed frequently when he was a Bengal last year because, similar to the current Jet situation at the defensive line after losing him, it wasn't that great. And now you have to wonder, what does this do to Quentin Williams? What does this do to Sheldon Rankins? Do teams double-team them now and say, hey, Curry, beat me on the outside one-on-one. Phillips, beat me on the outside one-on-one. And they haven't proven to do that at a consistent level. Now you have to wonder what kind of penetration you can get into the backfield of opposing teams, losing a guy like Carl Lawson. But what you think? Who will lead the New York Jets in sacks this season? My preseason prediction would have been Carl Lawson, but again, a huge blow at a Jets training camp, as Carl Lawson will be missed for the entire season due to tearing his Achilles in joint practice against the Green Bay Packers.